Well, it's that time again. Time for T2 to make a video about baseball. That's right. Haha, sports. That's what this channel is all about. How fucking crazy is it that I make videos about so many different topics? I'm like a fucking prolific variety streamer. I don't know what you would even call it. Okay, so I was watching Trainwreck's podcast the other night, and they were talking about baseball being so boring, and like Destiny was talking about how it's such a bad game, and like the most interesting thing that ever happens is when nobody hits the ball. And he's kind of got a point. I mean, I'm right there with you on that boat. I used to hate the fuck out of baseball. I thought it was the most boring shit in the world, least favorite sport. Like, I understand. And then some things happened that made me like it. I mean, I even had my bullies in high school were the baseball team, so that was working against baseball too. But I did collect baseball cards when I was a kid. Like Oral Hershiser was my favorite pitcher. My brother's was Nolan Ryan. We had our own collection and stuff, but that's just because they were collectible. I never really liked baseball back then either. But I never really liked keeping up with the stats. A lot of people are just like huge stat whores. But then I started watching these anime based on sports. I got into like the Kuroko no basketball anime, and then there's I get into crazy sports. There's like a volleyball one, Haikyuu I watch. There's a freestyle swimming one I watch. Bicycling, Yomushi no Pedal. I watch tons of sports anime just because I like the way they're done. Then I started getting into the baseball ones, and there's like this one called One Outs, which is just about pitching. Then there's one called Big Windup, which is really good. And then I got into Ace of the Diamond. And there's also like Major, which I haven't really watched yet, but some other ones. A new one just came out this year, I think. Baseball's huge in Japan. If you ever look on Google Maps on Japan, there's a river in Tokyo, and all along the sides of that river is just baseball diamond after baseball diamond after baseball diamond for miles. I don't know how they play that much baseball, especially when they're hitting home runs into the river on half of them. But they do. Apparently, they have that many baseball fields. Even in Area 51, they got a baseball field. So then on these anime, what you really learn is how it works between a battery, which is a pitcher, and a catcher. Catcher, most people don't realize how important a catcher is. Catcher's like the main guy on the baseball team. He's like the leader. He like studies the batters, figures out what pitches to throw, figures out like analyzes them psychologically and mentally about what kind of pitch to throw. A lot of people don't realize that different counts are different situations. Every situation is different. If you're at like a 2-3 count or you're a full count, that means the pitcher's cornered, they call it in Japan, where now you have to throw a strike, or you got to take a huge risk and throw like a sinker or a curveball and get him to swing at it, because if you throw a ball, you're going to walk into first base. It's like getting a free hit. And a no-hitter, by the way, that's not actually like nobody ever hits the ball. That's when they can hit the ball, but you catch them out. But they don't actually get to first base. A hit is actually getting to first base off of a hit. So a lot of people that are fucking baseball noobs, they just think, oh, you just go up there and you hit it as hard as you can, right? And try to hit it into the air. That's like the dumbest thing you want to do. Unless you can hit a home run, hitting it into the air is the worst thing you can do. Because that's an easy out. They just catch you right out. You want to hit grounders. And you want to hit like line drives over the pitcher's head, or like to shortstop or in between first and second base. That's your best hit because nobody's covering those positions most of the time. And then you got situations where the basemen are like off the base playing, like second baseman will play shortstop or in between first and second, and the shortstop will play second base, depending on where people are on the bases. And then you also got like certain counts, the batter feels more free to hit stronger ones, so then everybody has to play back more and play different kinds of defense. And if you're not like an expert, like of what all these situations are, you don't really watch for this kind of thing. Everybody thinks it's really boring. But they also have these things called immaculate innings. That's when you actually pitch 3 strikeouts in 1 inning. And to actually do that in 9 innings in a row has never been done. That would be insane. Like nobody ever even hits the ball. So I was watching these anime. Let's see, was there any other situations? Like all the training that they do, they go over that. Like they drag a lot of tires around on ropes for some reason when they're running. I guess strength training. Also, the number of pitches the pitcher throws is really important. Like if you throw like 3 strikes and 4 balls every time, like 7 pitches per batter, and then they foul tip a bunch of them off. That's like 10 or 12 pitches potentially per batter for 1 out. And usually, like, after like 90 or 120 pitches or something, I think, is like, that's when you start to get tired and they start losing their edge and they got to switch out another pitcher. So a lot of these anime are about what they call a rotation, a pitcher relay. They have 2 or 3 relief pitchers that pitch different styles. And some of them are about, like, throwing weird knuckleball type things. Some are about, like, throwing your hand down. Because when you put down spin on the ball, it makes it kind of rise upwards, which nobody ever expects. If you're batting, you always expect it to kind of fall because of gravity. And then you got, like, things like throwing inside pitches, so it makes the batter more wary, makes them step back and kind of freaks them out. And there's all these weird situations, like getting hit by a pitch, and people get mad, and there's, like, a lot of these rules that I didn't know at first, like the infield fly rule, which if you pop it up in the infield, they used to let you choose to catch it or not, because if it looks like it's an easy catch, everybody will wait, because you have to wait until the ball is caught, and you got to tag up, and then you can run if you want to steal a base. But then they made an infield fly rule where if it's a fair catch, then they automatically just count it, because if they were letting the ball drop, and then they could, like, count it as the play's still going on, right? And they can, like, force outs that way. So that was a lot of weird situations like that. I watch a lot of these weird clips on YouTube where the umpires don't really know the rule, or it's a really close call. A lot of it's like weird, like forced out situations where they had to tag out and they didn't, or something like that. But then there's like there's just one weird rule. I didn't know about this. This really got me interested in it. It's called the drop third strike rule. So when you strike 3 and you're out, if the catcher doesn't catch the ball cleanly and he drops it, you can steal first base. That's crazy. I was actually starting to go to these high school games last year and this year. I saw a Grand Slam home run last year. But this year I saw a fucking third strike drop. Guy ran to first base. Catcher threw it to first. Guy made an error and missed it. He ran around to second and a third. They threw to third. The third guy missed it. And he ran home off of a drop third strike. I've never seen that in my entire life. You'll probably never see it in professional sports either. That's just a fucking crazy fluke. And, like, nobody in the bleachers were, like, freaking out. Everybody was just like, yeah, okay, he scored. Like, do I realize the fucking odds of what just happened here? It was so crazy. But, yeah, if you like math and stuff, it's a pretty good game to watch. If you like keeping track of, like, the count and the pitches and box scores and all that stuff. But then there's also a channel on YouTube called SB Nation, and they have like a playlist or whatever called Chart Party. They do a lot of stuff about football that's really good. Like there's one about the saddest punt ever made, and it was really good. But I don't really care about the basketball ones that much, but they do a lot of baseball stuff too. If you're into stats and stuff, check out SB Nation. But let's see. Another thing is, I was watching this clip of a Pittsburgh versus Cincinnati game today, and the pitcher for Cincinnati gets mad at the other team, and he runs to their dugout and just punches a guy. And then it clears the benches, everybody comes out, and they say, oh, this is going to be a lot of fines and a lot of suspensions. I'm like, well, why do people in sporting events not get charged with assault when you just flat out assault somebody? It's almost like that rich people get away with everything, or famous people get away with everything because they're baseball players. Or do they always have, like, police at sporting events? I know they're probably just being private security, but they always... It seems like if you're at a sporting event and you do something like run out onto the field, they'll tackle you like it's a police thing, but it's not against the law to run out onto a field of a baseball game. It's a private event. It's like a private property thing. I'm sure it's against their rules, but nobody really signs any contract saying, I'm not going to run out on the field. If you're totally naked, I guess that's about being nude in public law or something, but it's kind of weird the way police treat baseball or sporting events, period. Because they have, like, national teams and they're named after states and stuff. It just seems like kind of strange. I can't read my notes here. I thought I had something else to talk about. Oh, what about, like, UFC weigh-ins? If they have, like, somebody punch somebody at a UFC weigh-in before it's a condoned fight, what do they call that? If you're just, like, at a weigh-in, that's like being in a public place and you just punch somebody. That should be assault, right? Anyway, that's T2 on sports. And, I'll talk about more sports if I ever think of any I like. I don't really like anything but, like, I'd rather watch football over baseball. But I do like watching baseball now. But I hate watching basketball because basketball is just like a back and forth. If one team makes an error, then the other team will maybe score and get ahead. Because it's like you're just taking turns scoring if everybody does everything right. And it's all about who fucks up and who gets turnovers for who gains points. It's so stupid. But everybody around here loves basketball because of the fucking University of Kentucky. They still hate Christian Laettner from back in, what was it, the late 80s or whatever. North Carolina beat Kentucky. Or Blue Devils. Duke. Not North Carolina. Duke beat them. They're still pissed about Christian Laettner around here. It's funny.